I'm Susie Pettit, and this is episode 264 of the Love Your Life show. Do this before next week.
Hi, this is the Love Your Life show with Susie Pettit, certified life and wellness coach. Join Susie as she helps you with your wellness and mindset so you can live a life you love. Let's go, warriors!
Hello, dear warriors, and welcome to another episode where I bring you my knowledge and research to help you live a life you love. I have studied life satisfaction, positive psychology, happiness, habit formation, brain science, oh my gosh, what else? Human development, somatic healing, human behavior. Let's just say that if it has to do with you and your experience here on earth, I'm interested. Why? Because it's my belief that the more lit up you are, the more you're living a life doing things you love, surrounded by people that support you and support that, the better we all are. I believe that's why we're here. To turn towards what excites us, what interests us, what we desire. Those soft whispers of our inner warrior, turn up that volume. That's what we're here to do. You are unique. There are no duplicates. And so the more permission slips I can give to all you wonderful people out there to learn about yourself, to listen to what that internal voice is saying versus what those externally outside of us are saying, to learn what excites us, to notice how the things we're good at, the things we take for granted. We're like, isn't everyone interested in this, or doesn't everyone do this well? No, those things are the pathway to our life satisfaction. The more we lean into that and do that, the better this whole world will be. And so today I come to you with a rather urgent request to do this before next week. Okay, if you're a student in the Love Your Life School, we take the action steps, and I support you in lining all of, quote unquote, this up, what I'm about to talk about. This is a podcast, and while podcasts are super awesome, and I love them, and I love giving them to you, I can't give you the individual coaching support that I can if you're a student of the Life School, okay? Yet, this is the beginning for sure. Keep listening. I intend to explain the big picture to you and light you up and inspire you to take these steps. Okay, so what are these steps? What step? What's the one thing? I want you to figure out your values. Not just in an esoteric, I value honesty way. I want you to figure them out in an in-depth, like I'm leading my life, my every day in this way. This is why I say do this one thing before next week. So much of life's stresses and anxieties come from us not living the life we're here to live, not tapping into those values. When we're living a life where our calendar lines up with our values, a value-driven life, depression goes down, anxiety goes down, burnout goes down, happiness goes up. Pride goes up. Relationship satisfaction goes up. Remember how like 3 minutes ago I shared my belief in that you were here for a reason? Your desires, your skills, they were given to you to expand on and become the best you can be. Well, we can't do that if we're living a life others want for us, or if we're paying more attention to how our kids or our spouses or our friends, or even our parents are living their lives. Does that sound familiar to you? I often think how helpful it would be if we took time to do a thought tracker of our day. Like, you know how many people do food trackers of their day, or step trackers. Okay, or like a food tracker where you look at like everything you eat in a day and you look at the big picture, the macros. Like in general, how much protein did you eat? How much fat did you eat, etc. It would be so helpful if we did that, a thought tracker of our day, and looked at our thought macros. About how many of our thoughts are about our kids, about how they're living their lives, or about our partner and how he or she is living her or his life, or about our parents, our friends, our coworkers. Okay? And how many thoughts are about us, our values, our dreams, our desires, our goals? This is not about raising a warrior tribe of narcissists. That's not going to happen. What I see is the opposite. A generation of us who were trained to put others' needs and desires before our own. I won't get into all the background of all this, patriarchy basically at its worst. It's not helping any of us. Okay, believe me when I say that type of living in alignment with what other people want, leads to life dissatisfaction. It leads to getting to the end of our lives with regrets. And you know that study you've heard of Bronnie Ware, where she says one of the top regrets of the dying is they didn't live a life more aligned with what they wanted, what they valued. Okay? When we show up as our greatest self, the one where when you go to bed at night, you feel so proud, we all benefit. So why am I podcasting about this now? This time of year is a time of year when there are transitions. And maybe the weather shift has you changing some of your routines. Or maybe you have a kid heading to college, or a child moving from elementary to middle school, or middle to high school, or from all full-time home to preschool. These are all transitions. Maybe you're taking on a new position at work. Maybe you're wanting to take a new position on at work. Maybe you want this September to be less stressed, less frantic, etc. Again, these are all transitions. It can be one of the bigger transitions like a kid leaving the nest or a new position, or it can just be the transition of a new month, a new season. Okay? There are certain things we can do to make transitions easier on ourselves. The first, please recognize that any change, even a change from summer to fall or the weekend to the weekdays, from full house to emptier house, from one thing to another, is a change, and we will feel uncomfortable emotions. Our brain does not like change. And so it races around thinking something has gone wrong. Why are we feeling this way? Your first warrior move, expect the discomfort. Know that when you're in a transition, it's going to feel a little uncomfortable, and that's okay. We save ourselves a lot of brain drama when we expect the discomfort, when we have the expectation it's going to come. Martha Beck says we actually spend less time in the uncomfortable emotion when we know it's coming and we accept that it's here. Nothing's gone wrong. It's one of the greatest things about adult life, actually, is that we have lived experience, that we know. We get through these things. We know change feels uncomfortable. If we're mindful and have any sort of, moment where we sort of stop with the coach and we reflect on what we've lived through, we know that these things pass. Okay? I'm here to say move towards that discomfort instead of resisting it. As a society, we resist feeling. We get anxious about being anxious. I've heard many of you say that you're afraid of feeling, fill in the blank feeling, because you don't want to go into some deep dark hole. We have fear about feeling the feeling. That's because we were never taught how. It's okay. It's understandable. I have a great training in the Love Your Life School where I teach you how. Please watch it and then practice it. Okay? It's part of learning emotional intelligence. We humans are designed to feel our feelings, not run away or push them away or shove them under. They don't go anywhere. Learn how to feel feelings. So you move towards the feeling. You feel it. And then you move on to the other side to live your awesome life. Okay, this is where I love thinking of buffaloes. Have you heard of what buffaloes do in a storm? Okay, when a storm is coming and all the animals are in the plain and they're just hanging there and they see the storm coming, other animals run away. They see the storm coming and they start to freak out and they run from the storm. Their nervous systems go into flight and freak out mode as they run from the storm. And guess what? They don't escape the storm. The storm reaches them. They actually spend longer in the freak out mode because they run from it first. That's what most of us do when we don't know how to feel our feelings. We run from them. Do you know what buffaloes do? They run towards the storm warriors. They know there are calm skies on the other side of the storm, and they have confidence in themselves and that they can handle rough weather, and they freaking run towards the storm. So they actually spend less time in the drama than the other animals. Be the buffalo. That's the first part. When in transition, which we go through daily and seasonally in all different periods of our lives, surrender to the experience you're having. Feel the feelings you're feeling. Get a coach to work through it in a healthy way. Take the training in the Love Your Life School. Be the buffalo. Second, I want you to know your values now, before you let another transition or season pass you by. In fact, many of us haven't looked at our values since the pandemic, and I see a lot of anxiety because of it. COVID changed things. We learned some things about ourselves when we thought the world was ending, or that we all might die. Things have shifted, and if we haven't shifted how we are doing things, we're going to feel anxious and unsettled because we're not living a life in alignment with our new post-pandemic values. Okay, for those of us who have gone back to doing things in the same way we did before COVID, we are now feeling frustrated, burned out, more anxious, more irritated, more resentful. And knowing our values is the pathway to more inner peace. Knowing what matters to us now, today, and prioritizing that is what emotional freedom feels like. When we're living a life that's driven by our values, not a life driven by our emotions or by other people's emotions, we are going to feel better. Let me repeat that. Choose to live a value-driven life versus an emotion-driven life. When we get clear on what matters to us in the big picture, we get clear on how we want to be spending our day. I know you like examples, and so for me, one of my values is parenting. Before I got clear on my values and living my life according to my values, okay, my younger Susie self would let other people's needs and desires sway me. It was very common for me to do things because other people wanted me to do them, or other people thought they were right. I would let them make decisions based on their values without checking in with myself. Okay, here's an example that would happen with me. Like someone would ask me out to dinner or a drink or an event, and my yes was so automatic. Okay, the people-pleasing me would say, sure, before checking in with myself and noticing that actually, no, I'd much prefer a calm night at home. Okay? And after saying that automatic yes, warriors, how would I show up as a mom at home before going out with that person? For me, this is me, I would be snippier. I would have a shorter fuse. My kids would get the brunt of me not having the courage to say no to the woman. I might say something to my kids like, geez, can't you guys just sit and eat dinner? You know I have somewhere to go in 30 minutes. Or if my little one said he'd miss reading with me that night, I might say something defensive and reactive like, geez, I'm home all other nights. Can't I do this one thing? Or don't you know how much I do for you in a day? And be snippy and not attentive to his emotions. Oh gosh, tell me I'm not alone. If I had the tools I have now, I would have slowed this all down to recognize that I was feeling upset with myself because I let myself down by saying yes to something that wasn't in alignment with my values, wasn't one of my top priorities, wasn't keeping my main thing the main thing. And when my kids brought that to light, I turned my emotional immaturity on them instead of holding the responsibility myself. Okay, now don't get me wrong. This isn't about like that you shouldn't want to go out with the woman. This isn't a parenting episode or a right or wrong episode. Okay, you could have the value that you want to model an independent woman for your kids. So you say yes to her. You want to go out with her. You say yes in alignment with your values. This looks very different. Okay, in your actions, you feel aligned. The same thing happens. Your kids take long at dinner, or your son says he'll miss reading with you. Because you're living in alignment with your values, you're not triggered and defensive. Like I might say something like my son says he'll miss reading with me. I might say like, I get it. Of course you want to read with me. I like reading with you too. I'm feeling a little sad right now. Be the buffalo. Let each of you feel the sadness. No problem. We have to run from our kids' emotions. It doesn't mean something's gone wrong. Of course we're sad. We love each other. And I'm still going out. I'm modeling a mom who lives a life in alignment with her values. Say my older kids are taking long with their dinner. Okay? Instead of getting snippy and snappy, I say, wow, you guys are taking extra long with your dinner. I love sitting with you. And tonight it's not going to happen because I'm going out with this woman. My needs are important too. I'm heading out. I love you. It just shows up so differently in our lives. Knowing our values and aligning our daily actions with our values is the secret sauce to your life. If you do nothing else this year, this transition period, or after listening to this podcast, please get clear on what your current post-COVID, post-pandemic values are. Okay, values are not a one and done. So if you did this in college or if you did this, they change with our changes. My values aren't the same now that my kids are all out of the house as they were when my kids were all in the house. Have flexibility with yourself, knowing you're still a growing, evolving being. Okay, this is back to our thought tracker. Do you spend time thinking about the life you're living, about your growing, evolving human self, about what's important to you, about what lights you up, what stresses you out? Please do. We all benefit when you do. I mean that. I want you to absorb that. We've been given a lot of BS messages that encourage us women to be self-abandoning, like we're all better served if we become these doormats others can use on their way to their dreams. I stand with many others right now in a belief that we are in a period called the Great Awakening, a time when we are moving away from that gendered and patriarchal way of being, a time when we realize that that way of living wasn't helping anyone. Rather, when we each take care of our own needs, not at the expense of others, to the benefit of others, we all grow and expand. It is the future of our world and one I'm passionate about leading warriors towards. I have a phenomenal value exercise in the Love Your Life School, and this is a great time to enroll. You can do 1 month, gain clarity, and pop out. Get coaching at a fraction of the cost of a one-on-one session with me or anyone else will cost. In fact, I have the school designed so you can get coaching as many times as you want in the month for the same monthly price. Let me help you get super clear on your values and then align your schedule with them. The Love Your Life School is an amazing opportunity, and I've designed it for this new time of awakening, a time when all hands are on deck. Your responsibility lies within yourself to make sure you are expanding as a human here. We need all the warriors to be lighting up, to be turning up the volume of your inner voice, your inner warrior, to be taking action towards your dreams. Let's go, dear one. And before I go, I want to give a big shout out to the Warrior of the Week, Bron O'Dwyer. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. You can become a Warrior of the Week by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts or by becoming a Patreon of the show at patreon.com/Susie Pettit. And that's what Bron did. She did the super duper special move by becoming a Patreon, donating financially each month to help me out. What a warrior. She helps me help you. Thank you, Bronwyn, and thank you, warriors, for listening in each week and doing the important work we speak of. This week, figure out your values. You are here to live a life you love, and that comes from living a life in alignment with your values. I should be able to look at your weekly schedule and be able to name your top 1 to 3 values. That's a good tester. Let's go. I love you, I believe in you, and I am here to support you.
Thank you for listening to the Love Your Life show. If you want to hear more from Susie and support the show, be sure to subscribe to this podcast on iTunes. Also, leave a review and share this podcast with friends and family. Go get 'em, warriors.